Alright, so in the blackness void of space, things just float in this zero gravity environment, right? Now we have one body here, call it the Earth. Gravitationally connected by the magical force of gravity. 360 degrees, and then holding on to this other object, this huge giant object. It's not letting it escape. Okay? Meanwhile, this object here also has its own gravity, right? Because it's pulling on the oceans here, as well as the land and everything on it. It's pulling. This is pulling on this. This is pulling on this. Now in between here, there's a lot of pulling. There's gravity all between this. There's a gravitational field in between these two objects. Right? They're pulling on each other. In three, all the way around this object and this object, there are fields of gravity, right? There's an entire gravitational field around this, and then there's a gravitational field around this. Just like the magnetic field and all the radiation field, everything, all these other magical forces going on, right? But we're just focusing on this pulling effect from these two objects called gravity, right? Grabbity. You know, in some languages, B's or V's are B's. So you want to spell it gravity or gravity. Some languages, this is pronounced as a B. So they're actually calling it grabbity. They're laughing at you. They call it grabbity. It's ridiculous. So in this zone here, between these two objects, there is still a bunch of gravity. There's still this object pulling it this way. Then this object is pulling this object and everything towards it. Where in this is this zero gravity? Where is it zero gravity? Where in these fields do you find zero gravity that you can just float around willy-nilly? You're still being pulled down towards the earth. The moon is still being pulled down towards the earth. They tell you that it's not being consumed by Earth's gravity because it has its own force going out. Okay? It's trying to leave Earth's gravity. The Earth is so strong and powerful that it can hold down the moon. A huge rock can't escape the Earth's gravity. But somehow, some way, little floaty guy can just float around on his space station or whatever they want to put up there, and he can just smile and laugh and just exist out here forever. You can put up objects here, and they'll float. They'll be suspended somehow, some way. Meanwhile, these two objects are moving. Well, they're curving actually. They're moving in a curved forward trajectory. Okay, and this guy's in zero gravity, while these two planetary gravitational masses are moving away from this zero gravity guy who's just floating, even though he's still within these objects' gravitational field. I mean, what's going on there? Is this just like where one gravity cancels the other out, and you're just in purgatory, a gravitational purgatory, where you're kind of just floating? Where does this gravity switch over from that gravity? I don't know. This heliocentric nonsense is, you gotta have so much faith in scientism and the authorities that told you this when you were like, what, 8? What are you, 8 years old when they tell you this? 7? Yeah, I spelled buoyancy wrong. I had to look it up. Anyway, zero gravity. Another thing about this model that doesn't make one lick of sense. There's gravity everywhere. The sun, there's gravity of the sun. The sun is pulling this ball towards it. This is the direction of the sun's gravity, pulling the objects toward it. Then you have the Earth's gravity pulling this object towards it, and then you have this moon's gravity being pulling the oceans, and the Earth being pulled by this object. And then this object too is also being pulled, by the sun, which is 100 million miles away, give or take. And you're telling me there's zero gravity floaty guys? There's gravity all over the place.